What's up, everybody? It's Mr. Hildebrandt, and I am bringing you another video. This is another Soundtrap tutorial video, which will explain how to use Soundtrap in some really cool advanced ways. All right, so appreciate you all being here, and let's get things rolling by talking about the new concepts we discussed last week. So we talked about some extra pillars of music. All right, these are extra concepts that we can use to describe music in a very specific, very articulate way. All right, so we have the concepts of tempo, dynamics, timbre, form, and phrase. All right, and we practice going over those. Okay, we practice being able to describe the tempo. Is the song fast or slow? Is it quick? Is it rushing? Is it dragging? Is it speeding up? Is it slowing down? And we use the BPM, beats per minute, to describe tempo in our songs. We describe dynamics as being the volume of a song. Is it loud? Is it quiet? Is it growing? Is it getting quieter? And then for those people who have studied music, we have the terms crescendo, meaning get louder, and decrescendo, get quieter. We describe timbre, which is the unique sounds or the character of the instrument. All right. So is the instrument focus on attack, or does it focus on sustain? Is the sound of the instrument rich, very natural sounding, or is it distorted, very robotic sounding? All right. We also talked about form, which is the structure of the song, what sections it has, and the phrase. All right. How long is each musical thought? Is it something that is a longer? Is it a shorter thought? All right. Now, when we have these concepts under control, we're able to answer some pretty cool questions. Like, for example, how does the tempo make you feel? All right. The dynamics, do they tell a story? All right. Does it start loud and then get quiet? And does that describe a situation or a story? For timbre, we're describing the instruments that we see or hear and what is their character. And finally, the form of the song. All right. What is the form? What is, if you were just to write the form down quickly, what would it be for somebody? So with these 5 concepts, we have practiced being able to describe when we listen to music. Let's now learn how to practice these 5 concepts when we are making music. So here I have UCSB's song that they've been working on so far, and we're going to spend some time detailing how to manipulate and change this song based on each extra pillar of music. So let's start off first with tempo. The tempo of the song is the speed, and in Soundtrap, you adjust tempo by this button right here, and it literally says tempo. So we click it, and we see that we have a little scale here that we can go faster or slower. All right. The measurement that they are giving us is the BPM, beats per minute. All right. So you think about BPM, think about a second. There are 60 seconds in a minute. Therefore, if we put in 60 here, that's how long a second is. It happens 60 times per minute. All right. There's also a range of tempos that you can use for your song. All right. For example, most songs you hear on the radio are somewhere in between 90 beats per minute and 150 beats per minute. All right. Those are two different, like sort of the slowest and the fastest that you hear for most songs that occur on the radio. So there's currently the song's at 120. Let's listen to it now so we can see what the song sounds like. All right, so the song is at a good tempo. So let's see what it sounds like if we were to slow it down to 90 beats per minute. All right, we auto adjust. All right, that sounds pretty cool, but it sounds a little like dragging to me, the tempo. If I look here, it's kind of got a dragging feel. It makes me kind of want to fall asleep. So I want to crank it up to 140, which is faster than it was before. Let's give that a feel and see if we like the tempo. All right, here we go. Yeah, I like that a lot better. So I'm gonna dig on that. We're gonna save it, and the song now has a tempo of 140. So we have changed the tempo of the song from 120 to 140 beats per minute, or BPM. We made it faster. All right, so now that we've changed the tempo, let's work on changing the dynamics. All right, to change dynamics means volume. So we have a couple different ways we can do this. First, I can literally change the volume of my device, whether it's my phone, my computer, all right, whatever it is, I can change the volume. That's how loud. The problem with this technique is that you will not be able to change the volume if someone else were to listen to your song. So if you send your song to a friend or a parent or a teacher and they listen to it, it's not going to be the volume that you want it to be. So we have a couple different ways that we can change the volume instead. One is the master volume. All right, the master volume is going to change every track of the song and it's going to affect its volume. I like to keep it around 80%, you see here. So if this was 50, this was 0, this is 100, I like to put it around 80. All right, not too loud, not too quiet. That will give me a good place to start. If you do it too loud, the song will start to overload and you'll get some really nasty sounds. So 80%. But even within the song, I can change the volume of each individual track. And I do it with this little volume knob here. I click and hold, and by going up and down using my mouse, I can make the volume super loud or super quiet. All right? So I like to start every song with everything in the medium position. This is kind of like your 50% volume. 5 out of 10, not too loud, not too quiet. Everything's the same. And then I'm going to go track by track, and I want to figure out which tracks need to be louder than others. And more often than not, I'm going to change my melody track. I'm going to make it louder. All right, so let's make my melody track about 25% louder than, or about 50% louder than any other track. All right, that sounds like this. All right, very cool. So now that my melody track is really super featured, all right, I can raise up maybe my harmony just a little bit. I'm going to lower my drums because they don't need to be that much louder, and I'm going to raise my texture. All right, and that is a nice mix of volumes. And the professionals call this sort of work when you change dynamics, they call it mixing. All right, and when you mix a song, I'll write in the chat so we can see it. All right, when we mix the song, you are changing the volume of each individual track to really highlight or take away from that track. All right, that is how you change the dynamics of a song. You change the volume of each track. All right, now if you would like to work on growing a track or making it quieter, that's when you go to edit and you go to fade in and you have this little gray section here, and then now the track can grow and it gets louder and louder. Alternatively, you can also go into a track and you can fade out, and now the track is getting quieter and quieter. Let's give a feel for how this sounds. All right, very cool. So that is another way that we can change the dynamics of a song. All right, we can change the volume of each individual track. Let's move on now to the final pillar that we're going to talk about today, which is timbre. Now, timbre, I know for some of us was the hardest one to understand. It was the hardest one to describe. I know as a professional myself, I still have trouble with timbre sometimes. But Soundtrap actually makes it really easy because it's this word here, character, that I want to focus on. The character of an instrument. All right, so think about that when you're reading a book. All right, do you have a funny character? Do you have a positive character? Do you have a evil character? Do you have a dark character? All these different characters. Think about Harry Potter and how many characters there are in that book and how they're different. Neville, Hermione, Draco, they're all different people. Snape, McGonagall, Dumbledore. So they're all different characters, and we want to think about instruments the same way. So we go back to our song, all right? We're going to undo our fade in, fade out. I don't want to deal with those right now. We can always put them back in later. There's two different ways that we can change the timbre of a track. All right, two different ways we can change the timbre. Number one, this character concept can be used on certain types of tracks. This track here, it has these little wavy things here. That's the sound wave track we talked about in class. That's a track that was made by a real human being, and so you see sound waves. You see it here in the cymbal, you see it here in the track. All right, so this one is a sound wave, that one's a sound wave, that one's a sound wave, and that one's a sound wave. All those tracks, you can change the character. How do you do it? You go to Edit, you go to Voice Transform, and boom, character. You can make it darker, you can make it brighter, you can make it like a baby, you can make it sound like a robot, an alien, whatever you'd like. All right? Now, some people don't love the way that this changes the sound. Some people think it sounds a little bit wrong. So I can challenge you to find a track that really, really makes it sound cool when you transform the character. Let's try hearing this track a little brighter. Okay, it's going to transform the character of the track. Notice how the sound waves change just a little bit. All right, this is how they were. This is how they are now. See that little change? That's how we know we made it brighter. And let's give it a listen. Okay, pretty weird, huh? Here's how it was. So that change in the character really changed the timbre of that track. And whether you like it or dislike it, that's up to you. But I encourage you to explore it because you can get some really cool sounds. Let's try changing the timbre of another one of these sound wave tracks. Let's try this guy. Nope, not that one. How about this one? Cool. So those are drums. Let's make those drums sound like an alien. All right, here we go. Whoa, pretty cool. All right, pretty cool. All right, pretty cool. I have to say that really gave it a very unique character. All right, changing the timbre in that way. Okay, so that's the first way that we change the timbre of a track. The other way we can change the timbre is the other kind of track. Remember that when these tracks had little wavy lines, and this little wavy line here, they were sound wave tracks. The other kind of track you'll see are these tracks that have little squares and rectangles all over the place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 5 tracks are MIDI tracks, all right? And MIDI is basically another word for computer. So it's a computer track, a track created by the computer, not by a real human being with a microphone, but just a computer inputting sound. And what's cool about these tracks is we cannot change their character, we cannot change their timbre, but we can change their instrument instantly. So for example, here we have a piano track. Super pretty, super nice, I like it a lot, but what if I didn't want it on piano? What if I want to change it to something different? What about a different type of piano, a Rhodes? All right, let's listen to it now. Okay, with the whole track. Too loud. So by changing the instrument, I am in effect changing the timbre of that track. All right, and again, I did that by going over here to this symbol and going to this menu. And now I have all these instruments, and I can change it to any instrument I want. I can change it to a synth instrument to give a very robotic, technical techno sound. I can change it to a piano to give it a very soft, mellow sound, or a brass woodwind to give it a very bright, festive sound. These are all options we can do to change the timbre of a track, okay? So those are 2 different ways to change the timbre. You have the sound wave tracks, like here, that you can change their character, voice transform. And we have the MIDI or computer tracks here with the squares that you can change their instrument, all right? So I hope you enjoyed that this little tutorial video to describe to you how to change the tempo, dynamics, and timbre. I'm not going to go over form because I feel like we've already done that. We've done that describing how a song has 2 sections, an A and a B. And phrase, some of you have already mastered. Phrase is just making some of your thoughts longer than others. And we've definitely gone over that as well. So to me, this video is all about being able to manipulate tempo, dynamics, and timbre in your songs on Soundtrap. Okay? Cool. Well, that's all I'm going to do today. This is Mr. Hildebrandt signing off. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all, and I hope you enjoyed these new techniques in your Soundtrap songwriting process. All right? Peace.